Hello everyone, glad to see you again for this short video where I'm going to show you something. Items for a 24-48 hour bivouac bag. And in a second part, how to set up a quick, efficient, and self-sufficient shelter. Before focusing on the contents of the bag, let's take a look together at the 2 or 3 small features of these bags. In this case, it's a 25-liter bag, so it's a small, multi-pocket bag with a full opening. So, unlike the tunnel bag where you had to stuff your things in one by one in order, based on when you would need them throughout the day, here you have easy, quick access. In addition, you have the MOLI system, which is starting to become widespread now, where you can attach pouches, for example. Here, I attached a bottle holder that will allow me to use the bottle throughout the day without cluttering the bag and in a much easier way. When it comes to organizing your bag, you have to be very precise. You need to be able to access your things almost instinctively in any situation. That's what I did. Before you leave, there are 3 things you need to check carefully on your bag. First, the compression straps. They should be adjusted so that your bag is as compact as possible, making sure nothing can get caught. For instance, going through the bushes, these compression straps also have excess length. When they're adjusted, they need to be tucked away, and usually we secure them with elastic bands. The second point you absolutely need to check is the zippers. They should always be positioned on the same side and facing down again to avoid any snags. Additionally, this will help you develop automatic habits for opening them in any situation. Third and last important point, your bag must be silent. Test it and fix any potential issues. Now let's examine the bag's contents. So, in the first upper front pouch, you'll find the gloves and a neck warmer. So these gloves are leather gloves lined with Kevlar, which are cut resistant and puncture resistant. They'll let you grab any bramble or branch in the forest without hurting yourself. The neck warmer. There are several possible uses, of course. You have the classic use. If it's a bit colder, you can obviously cover yourself a bit more. And at night, for example, you can also wear it as a balaclava so you can protect yourself well from the cold. The second front pouch is the one I'll call the electronics pouch. You'll find a cell phone, a global positioning system, in which is very useful in the forest. A headlamp with a red light, a Leatherman multi-tool knife, a small regular flashlight, and an extra supply of batteries. Now let's move on to the middle pouch. This is the one I'll call the Food and Forest Tools pouch. In it, you'll find a Gerber brand knife, an American knife, a very good knife. They have the advantage of being able to be carried on your back. A saw, it's the Pocket Boy from Silky. These are saw blades that are extraordinarily effective. Let's move on to food. We'll have dehydrated Asian soups, muesli for the morning, and a cocoa drink. Freeze-dried coffee, same thing, freeze-dried water, energy bars, and tablets for water purification. Salt, pepper, a plastic bag, and paper napkins. Let's get to the last compartment now, the main compartment. So, do you see the advantage of these bags? Full opening, I have direct access to all the equipment. So, first of all, you'll find a 3x4 meter tarp in here. See a waterproof bag with a change of underwear, socks, t-shirt, and a kit. Rope. So you have pieces of different ropes. You also have some tensioners and a tactical bivvy. We'll see how to use it on site. A cooking set, so a mess tin, a spoon, and something to clean with. A microfiber towel, a fire kit that includes a lighter and a fire steel, a toiletry kit in a Ziploc bag, a toiletry kit reduced to the bare essentials, 4 tent stakes. So note that I use flat stakes, unlike round rod stakes, which hold much less well. And they're also less useful when you use them in the fire, for example, to boil water in your cup. These hold up exceptionally well. Finally, the little mattress from the German army, that's Kia. Very interesting, very practical, and it fits easily into this type of 25-liter bag. The departure bag also weighs under 10 kilos. I have about an hour-and-a-half walk to the bivouac area. I took the Aeronautique Naval parka, which is a good windbreaker, and an extra fleece. Let's go. I'm going to look for a bivouac area now. I'm on the slope, so I'll try to find an area that's more or less flat. I won't set up at the hilltop as it's too cold, nor at the bottom due to the stream. It'd be too cold and damp. And besides, I might be bothered by animals. So I'm just looking for an area where there are about 3 to 4 meters between two trees. Fairly flat, fairly clear, so I have as little work as possible. And obviously, outside of a layer, here I am between two beautiful trees. It's pretty ideal. I make sure there aren't any dangerous dead branches above. Here, it's fairly flat. At this spot, I have a little clearing to do, but it'll be very quick. I can even make a small fire here. The area seems perfect. Let's start setting up the tarp. First thing for this setup, I'm going to secure the end. What we call the ridge line, about 1.5 meters. So here, it's a really huge tree. But it will also give me good protection for the night. So, about 1.5 meters, I'm going to set it up on this side. Once the torment is set up, I'm going to put the end in the knee. Some tarp on the edge. In 3 meters, I remind you that here, I took 3 meters out of 4. So these are still the tarps made of ripstop, which are very strong and very light at the same time. So you still have to be careful with them. So you really have to be careful, especially to make sure the ground is clear, no thorns, no branches that could puncture it. You'll see in this setup, I'm using the tarp as a shelter, but also as a ground sheet. So now I'm going to put up the ridge line. Under tension. There you go. It's under tension. Torment. And the tool. Now, it's time to put on the tensioner so you can adjust the tarp. So the tensioner is very practical. Because precisely you have many solutions. It could also be done with laces by making Prusik knots. Here, I chose the tensioner technique. Now it's time to put in the stakes. I use the eyelets that are here in the middle of the 4 meters, so at 2 meters the stakes. There you go. You see, the setup's really quick. Second side. So here, for this setup, I need a bit of powder. No branches. I can do it at night. I can do it very quickly. That's the whole advantage of this setup. Same system, with the little laces. I paid close attention here. Ensure there are no branches or thorns present under the tarp. On the other hand, I leave the leaves. We'll see. A little extra insulation. Setting up the sleeping pad. So that way it'll make a double layer. When you're setting up a shelter like this and you make a fire in front of it, especially, you'll need to be careful. With the prevailing wind, you absolutely need the wind to come either from the side or from the rear quarter, let's say from the 3/4 rear. In this case, the wind is coming from about this direction. If you're facing the wind, you'll have all the smoke from your fire coming under the shelter. And on top of that, your shelter will catch the wind. If you have the wind at your back with the wind coming from behind you, you'll have the shelter, which will tend to collapse like this during the night. So always set it up sideways or with the wind at your rear quarter. When you set up camp in the forest, don't forget to stop and look around before setting up your camp. 2 hours before sunset, and in winter, 3 hours before sunset. Setting up shelter, gathering wood, and starting a fire takes time. When you plan to make a fire, make sure to take all the necessary precautions for fire prevention. In the forest, start gathering wood 200 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters from your shelter and bring it back while it's still daylight. That way, if you ever run out of wood during the night, you'll have all the wood that's on the ground and it'll be 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters away, which will be much easier to go get at that moment since there are a lot of little branches like that, completely dried out. That's very effective for starting fires in 501. I make a bit of shavings with the magnesium bar, and then I can start a fire with the ferrocerium part. This is a fire starting model that works very well in very wet weather. When lighters are soaked, for example, or when it's very cold, lighters have trouble working too. So it's good to have two methods. For starting a fire, if you want to optimize fire starting, you can add a bit of solid alcohol powder. And even then, in wet weather, you'll really have an instant fire start. In these conditions, with this type of setup, don't forget to light the fire 1.5 meters away from your tarp, and you'll really get maximum heat distribution. You can also, if you're setting up for a day or two, make a small reflector at the back out of logs, but it's not really necessary. What you need is to have enough wood to keep it going. If it's really very cold during the night, I can really feel the heat here. It's already 20 or 22 degrees where I am. While the night hasn't completely fallen yet, now I'm going to make myself a little soup by heating it up. And then lights out. As you saw, I came to get some sleep. It's going to be 3 to 4 dirks tonight. With the fur, it might be 5B, 6D, with a bit of luck. But I'm going to show you the Bivouac, which is actually a survival blanket. It's shaped like a sleeping bag, and it's one of the most useful items there is. With this kind of gear, you can really spend a night that's too warm. You saw how compact it is, so there might be a bit of condensation. It is recommended not to breathe inside. But between the tarp and the Bivouac, you can be sure you'll have a good night's sleep. A little breakfast in the morning, I'll warm it up. There you go. There's a deer not very far away. That one is about 50 or 100 meters. It's 6:45. Packing up the camp and getting ready to go again. There you go. The place is clean. Again, there's not much to see. We're now reaching the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this little bivouac for a few hours, and I'll see you soon for another video.